G'day guys and gals, and welcome back to another episode of Daily Eclectic Gaming. Now, today is going to be a little different from other days in that I don't have a game to show you. Instead, I've decided to upload a series of 5 episodes covering the now 250 immersive, flavorful survival mods I have installed on Fallout 4 currently. And, might I add, all working in perfect harmony, as far as I've tested. So, for the sake of mine and everyone else's sanity, I've broken these mods down into the sections of the game they modify. The major categories and hence episode themes are going to be visual and audio mods, weapons, armor and companion mods, Commonwealth enrichment mods, bringing more life to the Wastelands, settlement mods, these bad boys get an episode all their own, and lastly, gameplay enhancement and user interface mods. Now, as each episode is set to cover roughly 50 mods each, I won't be going into that much detail, or we would be here all damn day. These episodes are for anyone watching my Fallout 4 series and has one of those "which mod is that again?" moments. If you haven't checked the series out yet, open the card at the top right of your window and save it for later, and while you're doing that, we'll just sit here in awkward silence. Have you ever wondered what cat tastes like? Well, wonder no longer, because today we might just find out. The subcategories and timestamps are on screen now if you're hunting a specific mod. But if not, pop that kitty in the pot, because we have To Cook a Cat by Samus Knight 2K. This mod, believe it or not, adds a lore-friendly cat recipe to the game. Well, 2 of them actually, for when you need to push that immersion beyond the realms of sanity. If you've ever been crafting and run out of resources, went over to one of the vendors selling shipments and was absolutely appalled at the price and size of their shipments, well, larger shipments, better prices, more shipments, vendors sell all by Gift 2 is for you. This mod increases the size, lowers the price, and raises the quantity of all shipments, in the words of the author. Additionally, it makes certain vendors sell all items. Those vendors are Carla, Lucas, Daisy, Diamond City Surplus, Railroad General, and Vault 81 General. Additionally, if you're looking for larger shipment sizes, but retaining the same price, then there is a variation in the downloads for you. Next up, we have No More Cheesy Crafting by Tali Redmint. In his own words, no more stuffing Brahmin poop inside a plastic tube and calling it checked. This mod adjusts the recipes for many drugs in the game, including vegetable starch and grenades, to make them make that little more sense. Some of the changes include removing Abraxo cleaner from MENTATS, and making Psycho require additional stimpacks and acid. Jet now requires stimpacks and brain fungus alongside additional fertilizer and plastics. Stimpacks themselves require twice as much antiseptic, blood leaf, as well as the blood packs and steel of the normal stimpack. Frag grenades need lead. Plasma and pulse grenades just require more of the materials that they needed beforehand, making them that little bit harder to create. And to bring a little more realism to the game, he has also adjusted some miscellaneous items like cigarette packs no longer containing junk and pre-war money no longer containing cloth, as well as many more. The workshop has also been changed, producing only dirty water instead of pure, less food, water and fertilizer, down to 5% from 30%, and workshops now produce more scavenge because, let's face it, junk is easier to find than things of value. Next up, we have Chemist's Cookbook by Lunarion Silver. This mod adjusts various chemistry recipes in the game by adjusting the perks required to craft them, changing their potential addiction chances, and the effects of withdrawal. Furthermore, it changes the name of Med-X to Morphine, because why not, and restores the addiction chance of Radaway. You can no longer pop the pills without potentially getting addicted to them. Next up, we have Wastelander's Cookbook by Lunarion Silver. This mod adjusts various cooking recipes by changing which ingredients are used, the amount of these ingredients that are needed, and the effects of specific culinary-related consumables. This mod not only adds in new recipes, but also adds in new consumables for an even wider variety of recipes to make. And for our last crafting mod, we have Wasteland Wound Care, Bandages and Stuff by PaddyGarcia. This mod allows for the crafting, using, and even finding of bandages, expired stimpacks, bloodleaf bandages, and even Stimcrack, the bandit version of Stimpacks. Many improvements, fixes, and tweaks have been made among these to make them balanced and fit into the game beautifully. As you would imagine, Stimcrack does a hell of a lot less for you than Stimpacks would, but are significantly more addictive. Use them only if they are your last remnants. So by now you may have seen some of the mods I've been installing in this and previous episodes and just been wondering why. Why I'm making the game easier for myself when I want to play survivability, why I would add the mods that I have added. Well, this is the mod that brings it all together. Brutality Hardcore Rebalance by Nokhal. What this mod does is make things a little more realistic while at the same time making it incredibly hard. You think a Deathclaw is something that you can just tiptoe around without power armor? You think super mutants aren't that deadly? What's that, a grenade's incoming? I'll just tank it to the face. None of that is what you'll be saying if you play Brutality Hardcore Rebalance. As the author mentions, the combat has gone from boring and gimmicky to tense and brutal. It is hard, it is unforgiving, but it is fair, and you're gonna love it. So, guns hit much harder. You put a shotgun round point blank into the chest of any humanoid, and chances are they are not standing up to that. You fire at somebody in power armor, chances are they're standing up to that, so you better run. Grenades will one-shot most fleshy things, so watch out. Not only that, but some of the more detailed changes, the mod has redone the damage localization of all creatures so that weak spots do consistently more damage. Humanoids' headshots do 5 times more damage instead of 2, and added the torso as a soft spot for 1.25 damage on most living things. NPCs now use ammo, so keep them stocked, and the HP of most NPCs has been dropped to fall in line with the new gun damages. Obviously, not every enemy in the game has been turned into a one-shot, one-kill type of enemy. Behemoths, Deathclaws, and Hermit Crabs are still extremely difficult to kill, as well as many of the legendaries and anyone heavily armored, including power armor, given our power armor buffs that we added in previous episode. No longer does the player gain a flat amount of HP per level, instead it is based on your endurance, so investing in this at the beginning is far worthwhile. Enemies don't spam Molotovs or grenades nearly as much, thank God for that, and vertibirds being incredibly tough to take down and doing incredible amounts of damage, as well as introducing a soft spot of the engine to bring those vertibirds crashing down in flames. This is only a small list of the changes this mod employs in an attempt to bring it more in line with realistic FPS games like Arma, Battlefield, and PUBG. Now, while on its own this might make the game a little too difficult for some people, including myself, the following mods aim to bring that back into a playable status whilst maintaining the incredibly fun and realistic style that it brings to the table. Here we have Bullet Time Slow Time by Registrator 2000. Now, this is not the only mod to add bullet time, but it is my favorite. Instead of using VATS, this mod slows time to your choice of time dilation and drains your AP while it's at it, again to your choice of AP drain. Features hotkey activation for a one-button press to toggle it on and off. Bullet time adds everyone's favorite game feature to Fallout 4. Now, with so many bullets flying at us that are now incredibly deadly, we have Take Cover by Registrator 2000 again. This adds a new game mechanic of third-person cover system. In the same vein as games like Deus Ex, this cover system allows you to hide your bodies much like the NPCs do in-game, poking out to take shots or blind firing from safety. This mod includes dynamic camera switching if you play in first person, and a one-button hotkey toggle to put you into or out of cover, as well as wall approaching sensitivities if you want the game to choose when you jump in cover, saving that hotkey for something else. Now, I've mentioned hotkeys in the last 2 mods. Well, to hotkey those items to any button you wish, we have Fallout 4 Hotkeys by, once again, Registrator 2000. This mod allows you to hotkey anything to anything. You can hotkey items and weapons, you can even hotkey the abilities certain mods add, like the previous 2 I mentioned. Of great interest to many people, you can also split grenades and melee keys. Change your melee key to a different button that no longer long presses for a grenade. However, the Alt key can't be adjusted, so you might as well leave that for your grenades. With this mod, some of the functionality I have added is 4 temporary quick save slots, shortcut keys for my map, my inventory, and every other Pip-Boy menu, and with my programmable keyboard, a few second pause whenever I bring up the in-game quick menu. as well as a shortcut key for stimpacks and splitting grenades and melee buttons. This mod allows you to fully customize your hotkeys with very little effort. Next up, we have fewer bobby pins and stimpacks by Dino Man, reducing the loot chance of bobby pins by 50% and stimpacks by 20%, making a survival gameplay that little bit more realistic. Now with bullet time replacing bats, and some of the other mod changes I have adjusting what perks would be useful and which ones would be useless, we have Creative Perks by Tali Redmint. This is a complete overhaul of the perks, however you can just choose to import the strength ones alone or the intellect ones alone, the choice is yours. For a full comprehensive list of the perks and how they have been changed, see the description below for a link to the Nexus mod for Creative Perks. Next up, we have Fallout 4 Faster Respawn Rates by Random Unit. In the vanilla version of Fallout 4, a fully cleared area will respawn in 480 in-game hours. That's like 20 in-game days. And what's more, this time it does not count down while your character is fast traveling. So, it is only when sleeping, meaning that areas that you've cleared stay cleared for incredible amounts of time. This mod allows you to update that and change the in-game spawn rates so that things could respawn even an hour after being looted. The choice is yours. Faster terminal displays by Old Nick is a must-have for people who don't want to waste their time with the super slow computers in the Commonwealth. No longer do you have to open up a computer and then go make yourself a coffee. In survival gameplay, or regular gameplay for that matter, does it bug you that eating a pie can heal a gun wound? Well, no longer with Food Don't Heal by PaddyGarcia. With this mod, all foods have been reduced to heal you by the smallest amount possible to allow full compatibility with other mods, and he has achieved just that. Now, this next one I thought was pretty funny when I first realized it, and apparently Dino Man thought the same. Grape MENTATS Not For Sale by Dino Man fixes an overbearingly glaring issue in the game that vendors would sell Grape MENTATS. Now, for those of you who don't know, Grape MENTATS increases the amount that a vendor will buy stuff from you. Now, I know if I was a vendor, there is no way in hell I would be selling this product and then buying stuff for more than it's worth. So, nowadays you can only find Grape MENTATS in the wilderness or craft them yourself. This next mod, Hardcore Fusion Generator Overhaul by Payload and Baby Barrington, makes it so that the majority of the fusion cores in the Wasteland have been drained. Not entirely, but your chances of finding one at 100% charge is slim to nil. Changing all fusion cores to be somewhere between 15 and 95% charged, this mod has you guessing whether that core you're going to pull out will charge you for 5 minutes or 5 hours. This is one of those mods that just adds a little more immersion to the game, because why should a generator that's been running for 200 years still be at 100%? It just doesn't make sense. This next mod is for anyone who wonders why half the drinks in the game don't actually refresh and hydrate you in survival. Hydrating Survival Beverages by 3VegasModder343 does just that, and adds a handful of existing drinks to the list of drinks that will hydrate you, including ice cold beer, ice cold ales, ice cold Nuka-Cola, ice cold Vim, and all the Nuka-Cola variants added in Nuka World. This mod is somewhat adjustable to your liking, so go have a look and pick what refreshing beverages you want in your game to satisfy that thirst. This relatively new mod, Immersive Respawns by Astera, makes it so that items don't restock, but NPCs still repopulate. Are you sick of looting a cave, and then returning several weeks later to find that not only have the rats moved back in, but they brought loot with them, put them on shelves, restocked those corpses? Well, no longer. With this mod, as you would expect in its title, items once looted will never return, but NPCs will. It's not as if the Wasteland isn't big enough for us to find all the stuff we need. This just gives you a better reason to explore more of the Wasteland. Speaking of immersion, we now have Immersive Vendors by Excrufigery. I'll let you figure out how to say his name. Names aside, what this mod does is gives all vendors visible products at their stores, and adds new variants for the level 3 shops. No longer do you have to make your stores look interesting enough, now you can just plop one of these in and have a really nice market district. Released only a few days ago, this is a mod that should have been released years ago. Less Caps from Corpses by Batido reduces the amount of caps that you find on dead bodies in the Wasteland. After all, most people in the Wasteland are poor as hell, so why are they running around with as many bottle caps as they are? Now, if you've been building your settlements and are sick of the tiny cable lines that you can put out, then Longer Power Lines by Puma is for you. This mod allows you to build power lines of near infinite length, allowing you to connect anything to anything so long as you can see it. Less overpowered decontamination archers by Thelron Toads and Panana Cakes does again, just as the title says, and reduces the effectiveness of decontamination archers. If you have too much radiation, these archers will not save you, and while they do work on lower radiation amounts, they will do so over time and not instantly, allowing them to work side by side with all the radiation drugs on the market. Limited time Morat disease and craftable cure by Michael Emerson restricts the effect time of the Morat disease you pick up in Vault 81 and allows you to craft a cure if you already have it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but once you've got it, it's hard to live without it. Now, even with our previous updates, are you still sick of the grenade spam that the NPCs do, particularly with the Brutality mod installed, where they one-shot you with perfect accuracy? Well, NPCs use up grenades, no more grenade spam by Game Fever is the perfect fix for this. With this mod, our NPCs have whatever grenades they have with them, and once they're used, that is that. If you're up against 10 NPCs, you may still have a veritable rain of grenades coming at you, but once you've survived that, there will be no more. Adding a fun bit of flavor to the game, if you haven't met someone, how do you know their name? People Are Strangers by Sagittarius22 makes it so that everybody is a stranger until you've talked to them. Oddly enough, this also works on your wife before you talk to her the first time. But hey, we can't have everything. Now, this next mod adds a feature that I think every game should have. Quick Trade by Registrator2000 adds a quick trade option to cut the babble and get straight to dealing. Working on both vendor stores as well as settlers and companions, this mod is a must-have. While my aim was to make a very realistic, highly immersive version of Fallout 4, I couldn't look past realistic crippled limb effects by random unit. If an enemy's chasing after you and you don't know if you can take him down, shoot him in the legs and they'll start crawling at you. If their weapon's too strong and they're taking too many bullets to kill, shoot him in the arms and make him drop them. Just watch out, because this mod works on you too. As with most Bethesda games, do you find it weird that you kill someone or you hurt someone and their buddies start chasing after you, but then forget what they were doing 3 seconds later? Well, Search and Destroy, Extended Combat Range, and Stealth Searches by MM137 is perfect if that bothers you. This mod only does 2 things, but does them very well. It increases the length of time an enemy will hunt you, and increases the range over which they will follow. This mod is designed for maximum compatibility and maximum hunting. If an NPC's after you, you better hide well or you better run, because they will find you. In vanilla survival mode, do you find you have to eat and drink way too often and that your character can't happily go about being slightly parched without being horribly crippled? Well, survival mode Hunger and Thirst Effects Change by Bloom fixes that by tweaking the needs to something he feels is far more realistic. I tend to agree with him, and it's why I've installed it too. Thirst now goes through a variety of stages from parched, thirsty, mildly dehydrated, dehydrated, and severely dehydrated. This mod has also changed what hunger and a lack of sleep will do to your character, so that instead of crippling you immediately, it is a slow build-up of negatives, so you can ignore that hunger for a little bit, but not forever. If you find you're still collecting too many Stimpacks or they still heal too much, then Stimpacks Restore Less Limb Damage by Moonracer is perfect, allowing you to choose from 10%, 25%, or 50% limb damage restoration per Stimpack instead of the 100% from the base game. Now, while you may call them cheats, I call them enhancements and almost requirements. Survival Mode Tweaks by Akihiro Kaitori is perfect. By enabling console, autosave, fast travel, and a few other features, this mod is highly endorsed on Nexus Mod with near 25,000 unique downloads. If you're playing survival, you probably want this mod. Next up, we have Vendor Diversity Overhaul by Moonracer. This mod changes vendor inventories to be less static and a little more dynamic, making ammo, shipments, and those fancy weapons and armor be a little different between vendors and change over time. So no longer are those traveling merchants a waste of time, they might have something pretty useful for you. Not only that, but the kind of ammo vendors carry has been categorized into common, uncommon, and rare types, making it much more easier to find 10mm than it is to find the ammo for plasma weapons. Now that we've had a look at every other aspect of the game, it's time to have a look at that interface. And this first mod is for anyone playing a survival game. It's Colorful Survival Icons by Madwin81. What this mod does is it adds tiers of color to the icons for the survival gameplay. It goes through phases of green, yellow, orange, and red, so you know exactly how worse off you are. Now, one of the ultimate mods for tweaking the user interface of the game is def_UI by Valdesil. This mod allows you to tweak almost every aspect of the user interface, allowing you to view the game through as much or as little data as you want. Now, while you could play around with def_UI and get yourself a user interface that is right for you, I've taken a shortcut and found someone who did it for me. CleanHUD 2 Immersive def_UI Presets by The Drunk Knight. Minimalistic user interface that still tells you everything you need to know. CleanHUD 2 has got it going on. However, def_UI and CleanHUD 2 wouldn't work without the HUD framework by Registrator 2000. This mod simply adds the framework to allow other mods to change the user interface, and is required if using def_UI. Part user interface mod, part game-changing mod. Are you sick of picking up food off a shelf, putting it into your backpack, taking it out of your backpack, and then eating it? Well, Eat Off the Floor by Ashnell fixes that by allowing you to eat off the floor. Simply press R and you'll eat the item instead of picking it up. Works with chems, drinks, medical supplies, and food. No inventory screen required. Now, what user interface tweak would be complete without full dialogue interface? By Kirasan and Shadwar. With close to 3 million total downloads, you know this mod has something going on. This mod does what you expect and replaces the, let's face it, mostly vague in-game conversation options with full dialogue options telling you exactly what your character is going to say. Looks menu by Expired 6978. This mod adds engine modifications to improve character creation, allows you to modify more and get your character looking as perfect as they are in your mind. Next up, we have RADROSE Usability Enhancements by Takatoriyama. This mod labels itself as Enhanced Sorting and Characterization for def_UI and Valdesil's Item Sorting, plus contains Valdesil item sorting patches for many popular mods. This mod lumps certain inventory items together, making your inventory look cleaner and easier to navigate. Updates trade and container tabs to better match Pip-Boy categories, and allows you to optionally craft workbenches without the local leader perk. We've mentioned it a few times in the last few episodes, but Valdesil's Item Sorting by Valdesil is a mod I would be surprised if you don't already have. This mod tags items for sorting, and includes tagging of dynamic names generated for weapons and armor with upgrades. This mod renames items with tag prefixes so that they will sort better in the inventory. The vision the author had behind this mod was to group like items together, notes, holotapes, keys, food, chems, etc. Sort the most commonly used items near the top for easy accessibility, and modularize the options to give you the ability to customize which items to sort. With complete FilmMod installer, you can make this mod do exactly what you want it to. And with that, we've reached mod 250. Hope you found a mod that makes your game a more enjoyable one. Don't forget to check the Fallout 4 gameplay series to see all of these mods in action and playing nicely together. I hope this mod series was useful to you. Thanks for watching, and guys, take care.